Hey, what's going on guys, Ash here. Back again with another Radiant Black review. So at the end of last month's issue, we found out the big twist was after the Catalyst War is that there was certain refugees from the other timeline crossed over into the main timeline after the events of the Catalyst War. So that means there's a bunch of doubles roaming around in this timeline. And with a bunch of doubles and duplicates and doppelgangers roaming around in this timeline, there is a certain someone targeting these refugees from the alternate timeline. And this is to get the attention of Radiant Black. And the character out hunting for Radiant Black is a character known as Jaeger. Now we saw a glimpse of Jaeger at the end of last month's issue, and Jaeger, as of this month's issue, is still a mystery. We know that they're using alien tech, we know that they're trying to uncover the identity of Radiant Black, it looks like, by the end of this month's issue, but they're still a mystery, and what their motivations are is probably the most interesting part about this character, because they're out targeting these refugees from the alternate timeline, but it looks also they're trying to get the attention of Radiant Black. But I get the feeling if they wanted to target Radiant Black or target Marshall, they could have done it a long time ago. But it looks like what they're doing right now is they're sort of keeping their distance and playing the long game with Marshall as they try to uncover their identity and figure out what the heck is going on. So we have no idea. But let's get into issue 32 of Radiant Black starting right now. So the issue opens up with this random guy driving around in Pilsen, Chicago, and he gets stopped by a gang, and he's about to get carjacked. And as he's getting carjacked, he just whips out this alien rifle and shoots one of the carjackers, and that's where it ends. And this scene here, I had no idea what it was trying to set up, but I get the feeling it's sort of establishing what this alien tech can do with the next page, because the blast that comes from this alien tech is the same sort of blast that Marshall got caught in last month's issue. So it looks like that random civilians are now getting a hold of this alien tech, so it looks like there's probably some kind of a black market thing going on right now. But also, how is this alien tech getting around the place, and who is the one giving it to these random civilians? Because the guy is driving around in a Tesla, and not only that, he's got this rifle with alien tech. So that guy is definitely loaded with money for him to be driving around in a Tesla, but also having this alien rifle on him just driving around the streets of Chicago. So this was a really interesting page because we get to see more of this alien tech, but we're unsure of the full potential of this alien tech and what exactly it can do, because we're unsure if any of the carjackers were killed from the blast. Now, the one that gets hit by the alien rifle, it does kind of look like he's getting evaporated from the blast, but we don't really get that confirmed in this issue, so either these guns are just badly injuring people, or they can actually kill people depending on how badly you get hit by them. Now, on the next page, you do have Marshall checking his police scanner, and it does say that there was alien weapons being fired and multiple casualties. So we're unsure if this is from the alien tech, or maybe because of the large blast that went off that some people got caught in the crossfire with everything going on. But the next page is Marshall visiting the doctor, and you can see that Marshall has all these bruises all over his body, and no doubt about it, this is from last month's issue when he got caught on that explosion with the same alien tech. Now, Marshall can probably tank some of those hits a little bit more because he's got the radiant powers, but when you see him at the doctor's getting the checkup, you can see a bunch of bruises all over his body. But according to the x-rays, there's no broken bones, no fractures, no liver conditions. He's just got a case of hematoma, which is interesting to see. Now, Marshall does try to play it cool by saying like he fell down the stairs, but even the doctor's catching on to that, saying like you mostly hit your chest going down the stairs. Okay, so Marshall can't really tell him what's going on because he's a superhero. He can't really give away his identity. So I'm guessing that the blast that Marshall got caught in last month's issue is what gave him all these bruises, but also the small case of hematoma that he's got as well. So it looks like we're seeing a slight glimpse of what this alien tech can do and the effects it's having on his body. So while on the subway back home, Marshall gets a text from Kieran, and Kieran's like, look, we need to talk. Meet me at this location. And Marshall's like, how do I know it's you? And Kieran replies back by saying, "You once told me that the Burger King Kids Club was the most underrated superhero team." And Marshall's reaction to this text is just freaking priceless. It's like, motherfucker, this guy, that's him all right. So Marshall meets up with Kieran and they're doing a stakeout in a van, a classic stakeout. And one of the guys is just chilling out, playing Helldivers on Remote Play, which was a fun little nod. I like the references that this issue has because there's a lot of them in there, and if you get them, you get them. I love like the nerdy culture references that Radiant Black has in it. Like you can really appreciate them if you get the references. So Kieran is doing a stakeout at this guy's house, and we find out that it is the home of the previous guy we saw from last month was Roger Neff, the guy that was tied up in the hotel and was caught in the big explosion. So the guy that Jaeger killed, they get the attention of Radiant Black. And it looks like he's living a normal, happy life. So this is the original copy from this universe. So he's living the most peaceful life. But Kieran says that his boss is worried that he might get targeted next, because if these people are being targeted to get the attention of Radiant Black, who knows if the original copies could be on the hunting list as well. Now, one of the things that Kieran brings up is that there's a new chain of command, there's a new administration, someone else up there is pulling the strings, so I do wonder what's going on there with his line of work. But also, word leaked online where the dead Neff came from, and although people don't have any evidence that this guy was from another timeline or there wasn't even another timeline, online forums are already running with this information and things are getting really heated online. Even papers are talking about this. So word online is spreading about the alternate timeline where these other people are coming from. So it looks like all these online forums and all these online message boards are spreading all this information online, but there was another timeline and that there is other people who came from this timeline. And we'll see some ramifications of those online gossip boards being spread around amongst the people of Chicago within the next couple of pages. So the best advice that Kieran can give to Marshall, being Radiant Black, is to lay low, because Radiant Black isn't very popular right now with all these online theories going around, and people think that Radiant Black might be behind all of this stuff. So the best thing you can do is to lay low, because things aren't looking good right now with how heated things are getting online with all these rumors and online message boards are spreading. Now, hearing that he has to lay low, Marshall isn't the biggest fan of this news, and while he's flying back home, he saves this girl Kaylee from being hit by a car. Mostly it's probably her fault as well, because she's texting while wearing noise-cancelling headphones, but the page where Marshall lifts up the car and hovers it over, and she's like knees or crouched down about to scream before the car just hits her, is freaking amazing. Like, the artwork in Radiant Black by Awado is freaking amazing. Like, there's some really great pages and artwork done in this comic book series, and it doesn't miss. It doesn't miss even for a second. Like, the artwork in this series is freaking fantastic. So Marshall saves this girl, and her father comes along, and this father is a nutjob conspiracist where he doesn't want Marshall or Radiant Black getting a hold of a epipharine, which I looked up, and apparently it's like hormones. And then he says, "You're not getting it. I know what you're planning. The robots, the destruction, the bodies, the donuts. Stay the hell away from my kid." And although Kaylee, the girl, was trying to tell her dad that Radiant Black actually saved her, he ain't having any of it. So after that, we then cut back to Marshall's place where Eva's there too, and Marshall has made himself one of those knockoff Tinder, Bumble accounts, one of those accounts on a dating app, and instead of setting it up for himself, he's set it up for Radiant Black, and I freaking love that. I even love the profile picture he's got set up for it. It's him doing basically like the Oliver Queen pose, but he's doing it in front of like a giant robot corpse. It's freaking amazing. And Marshall isn't expecting how much this is going to blow up, and the phone just ends up blowing up, and you hear the sound effect of all the buzzing and all the dinging going off with the notifications, and he ends up getting like 372 matches from what we see so far. So we then get this montage of Marshall as Radiant Black going on a date with all these different girls, and like I said, if you love your movie references or just your references in general, or even if you get all of these references, which I did, I got most of these references, then you'll definitely get a kick out of this montage, because it's very much like the early start of Radiant Black, where you had Nathan having that montage of him being an Uber driver, taking all these people around, except this is just Marshall as Radiant Black, going on a date with all these people. Now, he ends up taking one of them home, and it's a nice little back and forth that they have where it looks like they're going to go home back and fuck, but he takes her out for a fly. But there, like I said, there's another amazing scene where she looks into the helmet and you just see a reflection in there. And again, the artwork is just freaking on point with that scene where you just see her face in the reflection of the helmet. So Marshall's phone goes off. He gets an alert there's a bad guy. So he takes her out for a quick flight and she's just screaming, and it's like a scene that's a lot of fun. But he ends up after dropping her off at her apartment and says like, I'll DM you later. So I guess the date went kind of well. We'll find out in next month's issue because Marshall's luck has kind of struck out. But him as Radiant Black, we'll see how well these dates are going to go. So this is where you have sort of like the big twist with this issue where we jump back into Pilsen, and this is where Marshall gets the notification from the police. And this is the really interesting part. So what we have here is a bunch of silos and what appears to be a platform on top of it. And in the distance, you see someone hung up and strung up in the dark. So Marshall flies in to go check it out, and you see this person in the distance, and you think it's going to be like the worst situation, like a bloody mess like we saw in last month's issue. But that's not really the case here. So Marshall decides to check it out. He turns on a little switch and a bunch of lights come on, and you see someone strung up, tied up, and they've got this weird device around their neck, like a little whistle with a little purple button, it looks like. And behind them on the wall it says, "Not here, never again." Now, is this person that's hung up or tied up against the wall dead? No, because when the device starts going off, you see a smirk form on their face, or what seems to be a smirk forming on their face, because it's hard to tell if they're dead or not, because you don't see any wounds, you don't see any blood on them, they're not brutalized like the last guy, but the smirk is what gives it away for me, the wonder if this person is actually dead or not. So, as this weird device around their neck goes off, this purple energy starts emitting, and it starts messing up Marshall's radiant form, as it looks like his form starts to kind of demorph from it. You can kind of see through what he looks like a little bit. And then after that, you hear the call of someone speaking Spanish. And this is where we meet our brand new faction, and I believe they're possibly a part of the faction we saw at the start of the issue, where we see a bunch of people in yellow and black, and they're led by this girl, but behind them, they're using a bunch of alien tech. So they've got this giant hammer, this giant switch axe, and they've got these big yellow shades on. And here we're introduced to a brand new character called Mariposa. I do apologize if I'm butchering their name, because I'm not the best at Spanish. I never learnt it. So if I'm butchering their name, then I do apologize, but I'm sure you guys in the comment section will probably tell me how to pronounce it. But looking at Mariposa and her gang, and how it's got this yellow and black color scheme going on, which looks really freaking nice, I will say that. But her outfit is giving me radiant yellow vibes, so I don't know what the heck is going on with this gang, because she's got this yellow and black spandex suit going on with a hood on, but not only that, we see kind of her alien tech within the next couple of pages, and then it gives me Shift vibes, so I have so many questions. So Marshall's like, look, I don't want to fight you, I'm not even supposed to be here today, quoting Clerks, which is 10 out of 10. Clerks is one of my favorite movies, so it's cool to have Marshall quoting the classic. So the building below them begins to fall through, and Marshall is able to use his powers to save everyone, except for Mariposa, because we get to see a glimpse of her powers, but she quotes Clerks back at Marshall by saying, "Well, Dante, looks like you're here on your own volition." And then after that, you see her strike a pose, and you see this sort of like shift mask go over her face, and these wings sprout out around her. and it's sort of like this wasp theme going on, I'm guessing, looking at the wings, but a bee maybe. I'm guessing a bee in a way because, the yellow and black, the wings with how they're forming. I guess she's kind of bee-themed with what's going on, but she looks really freaking cool. So she flies away, and we'll probably see her again later down the line within the next couple of issues, because this is another faction that has entered the world of Radiant Black, and another mystery that I'm going to be theory crafting and wondering who the heck are these guys and what are they planning in the background, because they've got alien tech. Her outfit is very Shift reminiscent, or her mask is very reminiscent of the new character Jaeger that we know about, because Jaeger has the black and red mask. She's got the green and black one, so her mask is like different, but it does have like this bee theme going on to it. So in the aftermath of everything that happens, Marshall is shocked that this brand new character has quoted Clerks. But looking at everything that's happened, it looks like that they're trying to send a message out to Radiant Black. And because with everything going on, there's these internet people, as he describes it, and he talks about the crazy conspiracy theory with all the refugees, how it fits into donuts and other dimensions and stuff like that. But in the aftermath of everything going on, you have the body laying there that was tied up. And again, it's unsure if this character was killed or not. In the shot where you see them lying around all the rubble, you do see what appears to be like a pool of blood around them. Or is that just their clothes that is all torn up because they're a jacket? Like, one of the officers does ask is that when they killed him, but you don't get that 100% confirmation if they're dead or not, so I do wonder if we'll see him again. Because like I said, I swear they look like a smirk they were pulling off when that device was going on. But speaking of that device, you then have a close-up shot of it, and you then have a cutaway panel where you have Jaeger, our brand new villain, watching on the laptop, as it looked like it was also a camera device planted into it, where when Marshall was getting hit by the pulse energy and almost sort of de-transforming, it looks like that they almost saw their identity. And it looks like that's what Jaeger is trying to do, trying to unmask and find out who exactly is Radiant Black. Because like I said, last month's issue was that big conspiracy board they had around them where they're trying to pin together which one is Radiant Black. So they're on the hunt for Radiant Black, as this month's title suggests. So after that, you then have Marshall coming home, and Ava gives him some shit by saying, oh, it looks like you're doing the walk of shame without getting lucky. How bad was it? And then Marshall says, well, he might have met someone. And I kind of like the joke about that, because it's not about the date that he went on earlier. I think he's like head over heels over the chick that was quoting Clerks, or Mariposa, who was quoting Clerks, and I think that's what he's referring to. So I do wonder if we'll see the other character later down the line that he went on the date with this issue, but it looks like that the chick who's quoting the movies is like, that's also the bad guy. It's probably the one for him, so we'll see where that goes. And that's where Radiant Black issue 32 ends for this month. Once again, a really another solid issue, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next, because next month's issue is the Rogue Sun and the Radiant Black crossover, where Blood Moon from Rogue Sun will be showing up in Radiant Black, and then Radiant Black will be showing up in Rogue Sun. So there's going to be a lot to go over with those two, that is for sure. That is for sure indeed. But what did you guys think of Radiant Black issue number 32? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. And with that said, I will catch you guys next time. Peace out. Take care. Bye.